The sky turned red over New York. At first, people thought it was just another strange weather event. Then the lights came. Silent, bright, unnatural. It was 3:42 p.m. when the first ship appeared. A giant circle, smooth like glass, floating above. The city like it owned the sky. People stopped walking. Cars stopped moving. Phones went up. Everyone recorded, but no one understood. 10 minutes later, it wasn't just New York. London, Cairo, Tokyo, Delhi, Sao Paulo. 50 cities. 50 ships. No warning, no sound, no message, and no attack. The ships hovered like predators, but they did nothing. They just watched. In Nairobi, a boy asked his grandmother, "Are those angels?" She shook her head. "No, child. Angels do not stare." In Moscow, a soldier aimed his missile launcher at the sky. He never pulled the trigger. The weapon melted in his hands like ice under fire. The ship didn't even move. On every news channel, experts talked fast but said little. No one knew what was happening. Fear spread faster than facts. Then came the voice. Not from radios. Not from TVs. It came directly into human minds. It was cold, mechanical, full of arrogance. "We have come. We are the Ilyar. Your world is now catalogued. No need for fear. You are not worth enslaving. You are not even worth destroying. You are small, ants with toys. We will observe." That is all. Around the world, people fell silent. Some dropped to their knees. Some shouted at the sky. Some cried. And some got angry. Very angry. 5 days passed. The ships didn't move. They didn't attack. But their presence felt heavier every day. Humanity waited. Some tried to fight. They failed. Experiment number 12, United States. In a secret facility in Nevada, scientists launched a high-speed missile toward the ship over Los Angeles. It disappeared mid-air. No sound, no explosion. Just gone. On day 6, the Ilyar spoke again. "We see your attempts. They amuse us. Continue if you wish. But we will not play." Across the planet, morale fell. Governments issued statements. "Stay calm. We are negotiating." But there were no negotiations. The Ilyar ignored every message sent from Earth. In the slums of Mumbai, a man named Arjun Patel worked as a machine repairer. Old TVs, radios, broken fridges, he could fix anything. He watched the ship above Mumbai through his dirty rooftop window. He said nothing. But he listened. He began to notice something. Every night, the ships blinked. Not randomly, but in a pattern. He wrote it down. Long, short, short, long. It repeated every 11 minutes. He showed it to a local physics teacher. The teacher laughed. "You're trying to find Morse code in the stars?" But Arjun didn't stop. Kept watching. Meanwhile, the Ilyar began their observations. In Berlin, a stadium full of humans was gathered by Ilyar drones. No weapons. Just floating machines, pointing light at people. A show was forced. Music, dancing. People cried as they performed, like zoo animals. One man refused. He stood still in the center of the stadium. He raised his fist in silence. He vanished in a blink. No explosion. No blood. Just gone. The crowd went quiet. The Ilyar laughed. Yes, laughed. Their message was sent again. "Even in entertainment, you disappoint. But do continue. We are collecting your failures." In underground forums, hackers and engineers started sharing data, patterns, failures, video evidence. Something was wrong with the Ilyar ships. Small things. Tiny errors. One ship over Lima flickered for a second. A drone in Egypt crashed into a WALL floating orb in Seoul, stopped for 0.3 seconds before returning to normal. In Cairo, a 16-year-old girl named Leela was playing with sound files taken from the Ilyar broadcast. She slowed the message to 100x. She heard something. Under the words, a hum. A pulsing rhythm. It was not random. She mapped it on a screen. It looked like coordinates. She uploaded it to a secret resistance group online. They didn't believe her, but one old linguist in Mexico City did. He said, "This is not just a message. It's a language hidden under a mask." Meanwhile, in the Amazon rainforest, a small alien drone crashed near a tribal village. It hit a tree, spun, and dropped into the river. The Ilir didn't notice, or didn't care, but the people did. They pulled the wreck from the water. Inside was a glowing orb, half broken. A young boy touched it. He screamed. He saw visions. Stars, ships, cities not on Earth, and fear. The Ilir were not gods. They were scientists, cold, curious, but not perfect. They had rules. And one of them said, if a species adapts quickly, reclassify. Risk of infection, high. In London, Dr. Maria Evans, a retired biologist, compared the Ilir's behavior to a known insect, ants. She explained on a pirate radio broadcast, "They treat us like ants, because ants cannot fight back. But what if we can? What if?" They're not ready for that. The broadcast spread. People listened. And slowly, very slowly, humanity started to believe again. Back in Mumbai, Arjun cracked the pattern. It wasn't Morse code. It was heat. Every 11 minutes, the ship released a small burst of heat, just enough to confuse human satellites. Why? He didn't know, but he sent his findings to every resistance channel he could find. Most ignored him, but one man replied from Canada, a former satellite engineer. He said, "This is a shield cycle. Every time it releases heat, it lowers its barrier by 0.2%. That's a gap. A gap. It wasn't much, but it was something. Day 15 of occupation, the Ilir still hovered, still watched, still laughed, but below them, something was changing. Humans were connecting, sharing, learning, not just surviving. Preparing. In a dark cave in Kazakhstan, 4 engineers tested a small device. It pulsed blue light. Then it exploded. Failure. But they smiled. The pulse was not blocked by the Ilir sensors. The next test would be better. In the streets, the world seemed calm. Beaten. But behind closed doors, in garages, basements, forests, deserts, humans were building, not weapons. Not yet. They were building understanding. The final scene. Child in Johannesburg looks up at the sky. He sees the alien ship. He raises a stick, like a sword, and he says, "You think we are ants, but you forgot something." His mother kneels beside him, smiling through tears. "What's that?" The child replies, "Ants bite. They came. They hovered. They mocked. Humans were not a threat, not even worth enslaving." But deep underground, the first spark had already been lit. Part 2. Mocked and broken. Day 20 of occupation. Silence ruled the earth. The streets were quiet, like after a funeral. But this wasn't peace. This was fear. Above every major city, the Ilir ships still floated. Like gods, no fuel, no movement. Just watching. Humans had stopped trying to fight. Every weapon failed. Every missile vanished. Every drone burned in the sky. The Ilir didn't attack. They didn't need to. In Washington, D.C., the White House was abandoned. Power was out. The once powerful leaders were hiding underground. President Cole sat in a bunker, face pale, eyes tired. He looked at the wall where reports were pinned. Attempt number 37, anti-ship laser, failed. Attempt number 52, EMP blast, no effect. Attempt number 81, negotiation request, ignored. Someone whispered in the dark, "Maybe they're right. Maybe we are." Nothing to them. The president stood and said softly, "Then they underestimated the wrong species." But outside, the world felt broken. In Paris, a man tried to climb one of the drones holding surveillance orbs. He screamed at the sky, "You think you're better than us? Show your face." The orb responded with a flash of light. His body hit the ground. Untouched, but lifeless. A single word appeared in the air above the crowd. Observation complete. In Beijing, schools were closed, internet was dead, and drones flew through the sky like insects. People were told to stay in their homes. Most obeyed. But small groups gathered in silence. No speeches. Just planning. They called themselves the Memory of Earth. They remembered every insult, every humiliation, and they wanted to return the favor. The entertainment trials on day 25. The Ilyar announced something new. A global message was sent, again, straight into every mind. Humans love to entertain. Let us see your talents. Each city will present one performance. Music, dance, anything you believe is worthy. We will watch, we will judge. Make us laugh. People were confused. Was this a trick, a test, or just another insult? In Rio de Janeiro, a group of dancers performed for the drones hovering overhead. They smiled and moved, but their eyes were full of fear. When it was over, no words came, just laughter, alien laughter, high-pitched, cold. It echoed across buildings like a scream. But not everyone played along. In Karachi, the chosen performer, a 21-year-old violinist named Amir, stepped onto the street stage. A drone hovered nearby. He raised his instrument, then he stopped. He looked up. "I won't play for you," he said. "I play for my people, not for monsters." The crowd gasped. The drone beeped. A beam of light hit Amir, but he didn't vanish. He burned. Slowly. Painfully. It took 47 seconds. The crowd screamed. The drone recorded everything. Then, a message flashed above. Entertainment, rejected. Subject, disobedient. Fear, successfully transmitted. Global reaction. Some broke. They cried. They hid. They prayed. Others changed. Something deep inside humanity, something ancient, began to awaken. In secret places. Stories began to spread. Of the man in Mumbai who saw the pattern. Of the girl in Cairo who heard their hidden language. Of resistance groups in the mountains of Afghanistan, in the forests of Canada, in the tunnels beneath London. They were weak. Small, but alive. In Lagos, a teenage boy named Tund created a radio signal using old scrap parts. It only played one sentence. "We are still here. And we are not done." The signal was weak. But it reached 11 cities before the Ilyar shut it down. In Chile, a mechanic named Rosa built a metal dummy shaped like a human. She covered it in reflective paint and sent it walking into the street. A drone fired at it. The paint reflected the beam. Back. The drone exploded. The Ilyar never mentioned it, but the resistance did. Inside an Ilyar ship, the inside of the command chamber was dark and metallic. No buttons, no screens. Everything was controlled by thought. One Ilyar commander floated silently. It communicated with the others. This species shows emotional instability. They perform, but also resist. They suffer, but still defy. Another voice replied, "This is not in line with Observation File 17-8. Reclassification may be required. Danger, minimal." The first one paused. "Recheck in 30 cycles. Watch for coordinated action." They still did not fear humans, but now they were curious. Meanwhile, in Canada, in an abandoned research facility, 5 hackers sat around old equipment. They didn't talk much, but they were busy. They had stolen fragments of Ilyar transmission waves. Not voice, not video. Control signals. One hacker, Jenna, managed to map a small piece, a blink pattern. "Look," she whispered. "This is how they send movement orders to drones." Another leaned in. "Can we fake it? We can try." Outside, snow fell silently. Inside, humanity's mind sharpened. A message of fire on day 30. In rural Thailand, an alien drone was pulled from the sky by a rope trap. Farmers had lured it using heat signatures and sound. They smashed it with hammers. It took 40 minutes. The footage spread secretly through hidden networks. No one laughed. No one cheered. But everyone who watched felt one thing: hope. In a cave in Morocco, an old man whispered to his grandson, "They said we were ants. But ants never stop moving. Ants never stop fighting." The boy nodded. And the fight continued. Final scene location: a desert in Arizona. A small group of people stare at a glowing rock. It pulses softly. It's part of a broken Ilir drone. One woman, a former physicist, touches it. "It's alive," she says. "Not just tech. It's connected to a mind." She smiles. If it can think, it can panic. Far above Earth, inside the main Ilir mothership, the lead commander speaks. They break. But not as expected. Let us push harder. Let us see where they bend. But Earth is not bending. It is learning. It is rising. And soon, it will strike. Previously on, the aliens laughed at humans until we fought back. Humans were mocked. Their lives treated like jokes. But under fear, pain, and silence, resistance grew. Now, the first real weakness is about to be found. Part 3. A Spark in the Darkness. Day 35 of occupation. The world had changed. Not completely, but enough. Shadows moved with purpose. Small groups trained in silence. Hackers didn't sleep. Mechanics didn't eat. They were building. Watching. Waiting. The Ilir didn't care. To them, humans were still ants. Small, emotional, chaotic creatures. They kept watching, but they didn't see what was coming. The crash in the desert. It happened at night. In the dry sands of the Atacama Desert in Chile. A bright streak crossed the sky. Locals thought it was a meteor. It wasn't an alien drone. Silent, silver, and fast, tumbled through the air like a broken toy. It hit the ground hard. Dust flew. The earth shook. Then silence. A nomad named Luis, traveling with his dog, saw it first. He hid behind a rock for a full hour before moving closer. The drone was half buried in sand. Part of it still glowed blue. It hissed like it was breathing. Luis didn't touch it. He just covered it with sand. And then he waited. The next day, he contacted someone. Not the military. Not the police. He called his cousin, a teacher named Marisol in Santiago. She knew someone in the underground resistance. Within 48 hours, a black van crossed the desert. 4 people stepped out. They had no uniforms, no names. Just tools, laptops, and steady hands. The drone was carefully pulled from the sand. Inside, they found something unexpected. Alien logs. There were no wires. No engines. The machine seemed to run on light, thought, and pulses. But deep inside, they found a black cube. Cold, heavy, silent. Until they connected it to a battery. The cube came alive. It projected symbols, colors, moving lines. It was a behavior log. A young resistance tech named Emilio translated the first clear phrase. Observation status. Species 94 primitive. Limited threat. He kept working. Next line. Emotional response. High aggression. High adaptation rate. Recheck classification in 90 cycles. Another recommendation. Avoid direct confrontation. Risk of spread. The room went silent. Risk of spread? What does that mean? Marisol asked. Emilio stared at the screen. It means we scare them. Underground communication. The log was split into parts and sent through secure channels. In Nigeria, a group of students hacked a water plant to use its signal tower. In Poland, a former spy transmitted data using weather satellites. In India, Arjun Patel received part of the log. He whispered, "They're not gods. They're scientists." And we're their mistake. Meanwhile, in orbit inside the Ilir mothership, a silent alarm blinked. The lead observer, known only as K-Rax, watched the planet below. Unit 32B lost. Ground response slower than expected. Another Ilir replied, Do they understand the data? Unlikely. Their minds are noise. Still, Carax gave an order. Initiate memory purge in Zone 44. Remove traces. Zone 44. Chilly that night. A glowing orb entered the desert. It hovered above Luce's small shelter. He never saw it. In the morning, his home was ash. Nothing remained, but the data had already escaped. The spark spreads across the world. People began to act differently. Not with blind panic, but with quiet determination. They started sharing again, not just data. Hope. In Kenya, a radio tower was turned back on. A girl named Nima used an old microphone to broadcast a voice across 14 countries. They think we are animals, but we are the storm. We are waking up. In Iceland, a fisherman saw something in the sea, an alien probe scanning the ocean floor. He rammed it with his boat. The ship exploded. He didn't survive, but his final message was heard. If they bleed, they can fall. Resistance training begins in forests, in caves, in deserts. People train. With sticks, stones, old guns, simulators. Anything. Videos of Ilyar movement. Patterns were studied like holy scripts. The message from the alien log was repeated. High aggression, high adaptation. People didn't just believe. They prepared. Meanwhile, in New York DR, Serena Lang, a behavioral scientist, spoke on a secret broadcast. They call us ants. But they missed something. Ants are not weak. Ants build. Ants learn. And when threatened, she paused. Ants swarm. Ilyar reaction inside the mothership. Tension rose. Species 94 shows pattern deviation. Social bonding increased. Emotional cohesion rising. Carax responded. It's noise. Fear makes them dance. Still, extend observation phase. And send more drones. Let them remember who owns the sky. But Earth was no longer afraid. Not all of it. Final scene, Arctic Circle in a frozen cave. A team of humans sits beside a glowing alien orb. It pulses once every minute. They've learned how to read the pulses. One of them, a former Morse code expert, decodes the message. If this species resists, others may follow. Contain. Silence or retreat. He smiles. They're not here to conquer us. He turns to the others. They're afraid of what we might become. In the shadows of the ice, a torch is lit. And far above, for the first time, an Ilyar ship turns away. Revious. Lion. The aliens laughed at humans. Until we fought back, humans were studied like insects. But a crashed drone revealed something terrifying. The aliens feared our ability to adapt. Now Earth is ready to strike. Part 4. The first punch. Day 44 of occupation. The sky looked the same. Cold ships still hovered above cities. Drones still watched from the shadows. But something had changed. People walked with purpose. They spoke less, but planned more. Resistance had stopped being a dream. Now it was real. In rural China, a strange event took place. At 3:11 a.m. Locals saw a blue light flash across the mountains. Then, a loud boom. The ground shook. Windows cracked. The next morning, the sky was quiet. But one thing was missing. The Ilyar, patrol ship that had floated over the region for weeks, was gone. Villagers climbed the hills and found burnt metal pieces. They recorded video, posted it online through hidden satellite links. In broken English, the headline read, "We hit back." Inside the resistance, the attack was not random. It was the result of Project Emberlight, a secret plan by 7 underground cells working across 3 continents. They had built a focused energy weapon using stolen Ilyar parts and reversed tech from the crashed drone in Chile. The weapon wasn't strong. It needed 3 minutes to charge. It had 1 shot, but 1 shot was enough. In a hidden lab beneath Kazakhstan, a mechanic named Mila smiled at the news. "I told you," she said, "they're not gods. Just cowards in metal suits." Ilyar reaction inside the mothership. Alarms blinked. Patrol ship lost. Damage beyond recovery. Energy signature, human origin confirmed. Karax, the lead observer, floated still for several seconds. Its mind scanned thousands of data points. Another Ilyar spoke. We recommend increased suppression, Karax responded calmly. No, do nothing. Let them believe they can win. Let them rise. We will crush them all at once. But Karax didn't share one small data file that only it had. Scene, emotional pattern detected, fear. Earth responds. The video of the destroyed alien ship went viral in hidden networks. People shared it in whispers, over radios, through hacked billboards. And wall paintings. Children drew pictures of burning ships. Teenagers wrote songs about human victory. Resistance numbers tripled in 5 days. In Buenos Aires, a former opera singer sang from a rooftop. Not to entertain the Ilyar, but to honor the fallen. Her voice echoed across the empty streets. You float above, but we are the ground. You see machines, but we are hearts. We do not fall, we rise. Drones flew past her. They did nothing. The first organized strike with the new tech. 3 resistance groups launched a plan. Targets: 3 Ilyar communication relays, 1 in Morocco, 1 in Canada, 1 in Australia. They attacked at the same time. 6 p.m. Earth time in Morocco. Rebels hid the weapon in an old mosque tower. In Canada, they used a snowplow to sneak it across ice roads. In Australia, they disguised it inside a kangaroo sanctuary. The strikes hit within seconds. 3 towers exploded. Alien drones in the area shut down instantly. Alien confusion in the mothership. Multiple points of failure. Systems not responding. Is this coordinated? Karax's voice was sharper now. Begin full scan. Trace every origin. Silence the noise. But Earth was already louder than ever. A rebel message using stolen Ilyar signal tech. The resistance broadcasted a message. Not to the humans. To the aliens. A woman's voice, calm and cold. We were sleeping. Now we're awake. You laughed at us. Now count your days. The message played across 17 cities. Drones tried to stop it. They failed. Inside the Ilyar mind, alien commanders met. Through shared thought, they didn't show fear. But their connection pulses were faster now. Too many variables. Species 94 accelerating. Our data predicted 30 years, not 30 days. What changed them? Karax answered. Pain, loss, unity, rage. One asked, should we begin eradication? Karax paused. No, not yet. Their courage will blind them. And when they charge, we strike. But deep inside, Karax was unsure. Something was happening that no data could explain. Back on Earth, a new symbol in the streets of Berlin. Someone painted a giant mural. A human hand gripping the neck of an Ilyar drone. Above it, one word, enough. The resistance adopted it as their symbol. T-shirts, flags, even tattoos. From villages in India to rooftops in Italy, the world had a new war cry, and with every small win, belief grew stronger. Arjun's breakthrough back in Mumbai, Arjun Patel, finally cracked the shield pattern. With help from the Caro girl, Layla, and a Polish programmer, he discovered something huge. Every 11 minutes, Ilyar ships dropped their shields, but not just by 0.2%. If you hit them just as they release heat, their defenses vanish for 0.6 seconds. Just enough for a direct strike. He sent the data to every cell. They named it Window of Fire. Final scene: the first human flag in Alaska. A rebel group brought down a small Ilyar scouting drone. They didn't destroy it. They climbed on top. And planted a flag, made from old cloth and copper wiring. On it, one word: human. A drone filmed them. The footage was seen in space. Rax watched in silence. It said nothing, but for the first time since arrival, it looked down. Previously on, the aliens laughed at humans until we fought back. The first punch landed. Ships fell, drones burned. Humans proved one thing: they could hit back. But now comes something even more powerful. Alien Fear. Part 5. They are not gods. Day 50 of occupation. The sky was still full of ships. But now people looked up with something new in their hearts: defiance. Children pointed at the floating ships and said, "We made one fall." Elders whispered stories of how Earth's light was returning. And far below the surface, humanity was about to discover the truth. The Ilir were not gods. They were afraid. The capture in the snowy forests of Finland. A resistance unit spotted a downed Ilir patrol pod. It had crashed during a storm, its systems weakened by Earth's magnetic field. Inside were 2 alien soldiers. They were not machines. They were not ghosts. They were tall, thin, and gray-skinned, with eyes like cold glass. But most important, they were alive. One was injured. The other tried to fight but was taken down using a shock weapon built from stolen tech, the Resistance. Did something no one expected. They didn't kill them. They studied them. The interrogation inside a hidden bunker. A scientist named Dr. Yusuf Khan stood across from the captured Ilir. The creature sat restrained in a magnetic chair. Its eyes blinked slowly, watching everything. Dr. Khan spoke calmly. "We don't want to torture you," he said. "We want to understand." The Ilir did not respond, not with words, but its heart rate increased. Its fingers twitched. It showed something unexpected. Stress. The Resistance used sound waves at specific frequencies. One pattern made the Ilir's body convulse. Another made its speech center activate. It finally spoke in broken English. "You should not have learned." Alien biology uncovered what Dr. Khan discovered shocked everyone. The Ilir soldiers were not born. They were grown. Clones. Designed only to follow. But their minds still had fear. Fear of death. Fear of pain. Fear of chaos. The aliens had called humans emotional, primitive, disorganized. But the truth was, emotion is what made us dangerous. Chaos is what made us unpredictable. Resistance response. The video of the captured alien was shared secretly across Resistance networks. It wasn't edited. It wasn't polished. It was raw. The alien shaking, sweating, whispering, "You were not supposed to adapt this fast." People around the world watched. They cried. Then they stood up. Meanwhile, the Ilir in panic inside the mothership. Alarms pulsed softly. Commander Karak stared at reports. Soldier Unit 88B, captured, did not self-destruct. Another voice spoke. Protocol failed. Psychological breach possible. Their minds. They do not break the way others do. Karax floated in silence. Then finally said, "Begin directive cauterize. Burn the noise." Directive cauterize. On day 53, 3 human towns were vaporized. Without warning. 1 in Africa, 1 in Europe, 1 in South America. No drones, no messages. Just destruction from orbit. Thousands died, but the message was clear: submit or burn. Earth's answer: fire and steel instead of fear. Something else happened. More people joined the fight. In Mexico, farmers smuggled metal for weapons. In Norway, children painted "We are not ants" on abandoned Ilir walls. In Japan, engineers turned solar panels into energy cannons. The world had stopped waiting. It had started building. Human weakness becomes strength. The Ilir didn't understand human nature. They didn't understand why a mother would carry a wounded stranger through a war zone. Why teenagers risk their lives to deliver food to fighters. Why resistance groups shared blueprints for free, even if it meant death. One Ilir officer spoke quietly in a command discussion. "We cannot model them. They change too fast." Layla's discovery. Back in Cairo, 16-year-old Leila was studying the emotional sound frequencies that affected the captured Ilir. She discovered that one specific pattern, made from Earth heartbeats, disrupted their mind focus. She tested it through low-frequency radio towers. Drones within range began to spin, lose control, and crash. Her code spread like wildfire. They called it Heartbeat Storm. Alien soldiers began to retreat for the first time. An alien patrol unit fled an area, the Brazilian rainforest. Locals described the moment. They didn't hover. They ran into the sky. Resistance fighters laughed. We didn't shoot them, they said. We scared them. Final straw, an alien kills itself back in Finland. The second captured alien, the stronger one, managed to break its restraints. But it didn't attack. It activated a small device in its chest. It whispered something before the light consumed it. I will not return in shame. It chose death over facing its leaders. And for the first time, humans saw them for what they truly were, not gods, not monsters, just beings scared of failure. Final scene. Message from Earth from a mountain base in Tibet. Humans hijacked an Ilir frequency. They broadcasted a message to every ship. You brought fear. We turned it into fuel. You brought fire. We walked through it. You brought silence. We answered with thunder. You are not gods, and we are not done. The last line appeared in every Earth language. Run. Up above. Inside the Ilir command ship. Karax watched the message repeat over and over. It did not move. It did not speak. But for the first time, its hands were shaking. Previously on, the aliens laughed at humans. Until we fought back. The Ilir called us ants. But ants bit, then burned, then captured their gods. Now the resistance is ready to go further. Into the Sky, Part 6. We take the sky. Day 60 of occupation. The Earth was no longer silent. Yes, the ships still floated. Yes, the drones still circled. But the people, they had changed. Fear had become fire. Pain had become purpose. Now Earth was ready to rise. Operation Eagle Claw. The plan was dangerous, maybe even impossible, but it had to be done. The Ilir had orbital warships, massive carriers too high for normal attacks. These ships didn't move much, but they controlled the global drone network. Destroy one, and Earth would breathe again. Resistance called the plan Eagle Claw. The team captain Wan Lee, former South Korean pilot, flew aircraft now considered obsolete. Amina Said, Kenyan hacker, 22 years old, disabled but sharp as lightning. Luis Ortega, the desert nomad whose call first recovered a crashed drone. Dr. Leela Hassan, Cairo's teenage genius, now leading electronic warfare. They met in Iceland. Underground. No sunlight for weeks. Only blueprints, screens, wires. Hope. The tech humans couldn't build ships, but they could hijack one. A damaged Ilir drone carrier had been hidden for weeks. Engineers had rewired its navigation with Earth-made code. One shot. One chance. The launch on day 63. The Franken ship rose into the clouds. Its Ilir skin fooled orbit security for exactly 38 seconds. Just enough. It reached the outer shell of the Ilir mothership stationed above the Atlantic. Then it opened its core. Inside was a magnetic bomb, designed by Earth's best. Simple, crude, brutal, human. The explosion. People on Earth saw it before hearing it. A flash. Then a second sun lit up the sky. Newsfeed screamed. Human weapon strikes Ilir carrier. First. Ship downed above Earth. In the Ilir command. Cracks stared at the data. Orbital network compromised. Drone control 41% offline. Ship breach confirmed. Another officer spoke for the first time in days. They've reached space. Karax didn't answer, because it didn't know how. The global shift, the moment was bigger than the explosion. It was proof that Ilir ships could fall. That the sky wasn't owned anymore. That Earth could fight not just on land, but above it. Celebration around the world in snow polo. Kids lit candles and released balloons. In Johannesburg, a boy raised a toy spaceship and shouted, "We fly now." In New Delhi, music blasted. For the first time in 2 months, but not everyone celebrated. Amina's signal team was attacked. Only one person made it out. Captain Lee didn't survive the landing. His ship was too damaged. Louis, the nomad, he died planting the bomb. When Layla got the news, she didn't cry. She just said, "He reached the sky. That's enough." The Ilyars strike back without the main ship's control. Many drones crashed. Randomly. Others turned violent. In Turkey, a drone stormed a village. In Australia, a defense tower exploded. In Nigeria, an alien transport fired on a hospital. The message was clear: we are wounded. Now we are wild. Earth answers with unity, but something amazing happened. The attacks did not divide humans. Instead, countries that were once enemies shared weapons. Old soldiers joined. Rebel teens. Civilians repaired tech with no training. A video spread online. Shaky and low quality. An American woman giving her only jacket to a cold refugee boy from Syria. The caption said, "We fight together, or we fall alone." The next strike using satellite fragments. Layla's team tracked the location of the Ilyars' main power relay, deep in space, but linked to an underwater cable near Iceland. They couldn't reach the sky again. Not yet, but they could cut the cord. Underwater, assault divers from 6 nations met in the Arctic waters. They used old submarines, fishing gear, even hand-dug explosives. 2 died from the cold. 1 was lost in a current, but they reached the cable, and they cut it. For 6 minutes, Earth was drone-free. People came outside for the first time in weeks. No ships, no watchers. Number. Eyes. Just sky. Inside the mothership. Grax had no answers now, only warnings. They learn faster than expected. They grieve and fight harder. Their weakness is not weakness. One Ilyar whispered, "We thought they were animals, but they're evolution." Final scene. A human touch a little girl. In Pakistan, found a fallen Ilyar drone in her backyard. It was damaged, flickering weak. She walked up to it, calmly. And placed a flower on its metal body. Her brother recorded it. He added a caption, "We are not your slaves. We are not your enemies. We are human." The video reached millions, even leaked into alien channels. Some aliens who watched it paused. They didn't report it. They just sat quietly. In space for the first time. The Ilyar were not laughing. Humans rose from ashes. They took the sky. They made gods bleed. And now, the ones who once laughed are the ones asking for peace. Part 7. They begged for peace. Day 71 of occupation. It began with silence. No alien broadcasts. No patrols. No threats. Just silence. Then, for the first time since arrival, the Ilyar did something no one expected. They spoke through human radios. "This is Commander Karax of the Ilyar Sovereign Observation Fleet. We offer ceasefire. No more blood. No more study. No more resistance. We underestimated you. Let us talk." The world reacts. People around the planet froze. Was it real? Was it a trick? Or had Earth truly broken them? In a shelter in New York, survivors stared at the radio in shock. One old man whispered, "They're afraid. You only ask for peace when you start to lose." In Nigeria, a resistance leader named Nika stood before her people and said, "They mocked us. They killed our children, and now they want a seat at the table? We don't forget so quickly." The room erupted in support, but not everyone wanted revenge. In France, a scientist cried during a live broadcast, "If we become them, we lose everything that makes us human." The world split, not into war and peace, but into something more painful. Mercy versus Memory. Secret archive. Alien history deep underground in Brazil. Resistance coders unlocked more files from a stolen Ilyar core. What they found shook them. Planets. Hundreds of them. Species. Gone. Destroyed by the Ilyar when they resisted too slowly. enslaved when they submitted too early. One line repeated in the files: study, break, contain, move on. But Earth wasn't on that list. Because Earth had done something no one else had. It had fought back, hard and fast. It had broken their timeline. Humanity's choice, in a secret resistance council, held in Iceland. 30 leaders gathered. Young, old, civilian, military. Layla spoke first. We are not killers, but we are not toys either. If we stop now, they will rise again. Captain Maya, a rebel from Jordan, said, then we strike until they kneel. But an old woman from South Korea said only, let them come. In person, no more voices, let them face us. The meeting on day 73, the Ilir agreed. They sent one of their own to Earth, unarmed, alone, glowing in white light. It landed in the ruins of Geneva. Humans gathered from across the globe. Snipers watched. Cameras rolled. One step too far, and it would be its last. The Ilir stepped forward. Thin, tall, pale, but shaking. It knelt. And said, we believed our minds were superior, but we never saw your soul. You don't just survive, you fight, you build. You cry and still fight again. That we do not understand. We ask for peace. Not for you, for us. The world held its breath. The president's answer, President Cole, once hidden in a bunker, now stood strong, stepped up. You came to Earth and called us ants. You treated us like a test. A game, but we're not interested. In being your science project, we will consider peace. But understand this, we are not afraid of you anymore. The Ilir ambassador lowered its head. Then, we will leave. But President Cole spoke one final time. Not yet. The deal. After days of talks, an agreement was made. All Ilir ships must leave Earth orbit within 72 hours. Drones must be shut down and turned over to resistance. Ilir tech must be left behind for study. No species ever again will be treated as less. Alien broadcast ends as the final message was sent. Karak sat alone in the command chamber. The war was over, not with their destruction, but with something worse. Their defeat. A younger Ilir whispered, they are not ants. Karax replied, they are the fire under the glass. Victory Day. People poured into streets across the globe. For the first time in 73 days, kids played without fear. Music echoed again. The sky looked beautiful, not dangerous. In Cairo, Layla stood on a rooftop and smiled. We did it, she said softly. In Mumbai, Arjun placed his old notebook, full of alien blinking codes, on a shelf. He didn't need it anymore. In Chile, the people lit candles for Luis. The first spark in the dark. Final message from Earth broadcast from every major city. We were mocked, we were broken, we were burned. But we stood. We rose, and now so will others. Across the galaxy, distant ears heard that message. And somewhere out there, other enslaved worlds looked up. They did not feel alone anymore. They arrived as gods. We resisted as ants. Now they call us monsters, because we made them bleed. Part 8, Humans. The monsters who fought back. Day 90, after arrival the skies were clear. No ships. No drones. No glowing eyes watching the planet. Only stars. And silence. The aliens left their ships, pulled back beyond the moon. The last one vanished over the Pacific like a falling star. People stood outside and watched, unsure if they should cheer or worry, because now came the real question. What happens after survival? Earth was changed, cities were broken. Skies had scars, but something else had changed, something deeper. Humans. They had learned things they weren't supposed to. How to hack alien tech, how to disable AI ships, how to strike and survive, and how to make even the most advanced species fear them. Galactic reaction in distant corners of the galaxy. Other species watched. Some were slaves, some were hiding, Others were rulers. They studied Earth's victory and whispered. They were primitives, and still they won. One alien council debated what to do. One said, destroy Earth now before they rise further. Another said, no, if they can beat the Ilir, imagine what they'll do to us. In the end they agreed, do not go near Earth. Let them be for now. Humanity's new power Earth was still healing. But something strange happened. The alien tech they left behind? It was studied, copied, rebuilt. In just 3 months, humanity jumped 100 years ahead in science. Floating vehicles, energy weapons, AI defense systems, early spaceflight engines. Dr. Leela Hassan sat in a desert lab, watching a drone powered by human batteries. She smiled and said, they gave us fear. We gave ourselves future. Some were still angry. Not all humans forgave. Some survivors believed the aliens should have paid more. One group, Earth's Shield, formed to hunt any alien return. They painted skulls on old drones. They weren't heroes. They were guards. And maybe a warning. Luce's brother Diego, now a leader in Chile, said during a speech, we don't seek war, but we will never kneel again. A signal in the dark. One night 112 days after the invasion began, Earth picked up a signal. It wasn't ILYOR, it wasn't human, it was something else. The message was short, just 2 words. In rough English, help us. The world froze. Another planet, another species, needing us. The Council of Earth, for the first time in history, a real global council was formed. Not for war, not for power, but for decisions that would affect entire planets. Should Earth become a guardian? Should humans stay quiet? Should they travel beyond? President Cole gave one final speech, broadcast to Earth and the stars. We were born in dirt, raised in chaos, forged by fire. You came here thinking we were weak, but now the galaxy knows our name. We are not your pets. We are not your science. We are not your enemy. But if you make us one, you will remember us as monsters who fought back. Final scene. A new launch on day 150 from a secret base in Kazakhstan. A rocket launched, but this time it wasn't to fight. It was to explore. Inside were a new AI built from Ilir systems, maps from captured alien files. A symbol on the Y side. Its name was simple, ANTO1. As the ship flew into the stars, a voice played inside. To whoever hears this, we are humans. We survived. Now we rise. The end or the beginning. From the dirt to the stars, from hunted to remembered. They laughed at humans. But now they remember our name. Earth, the planet that fought back,